Okay.
Too much information.
Yeah. Okay, Mayor, are you recording on YouTube? You good to go?
I just got it started. Yes, sir.
What about Director Miller? Is he on with us?
I'm on.
Yeah, I see his name in here. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Glenn, how are you?
Doing well.
All right, Glenn, you're up.
All right, gentlemen. On the run report, we did 433 calls for the month of December. That's an average of 401 calls for the month. Should we sustain the numbers that we have been carrying out through the year, we will end up with a grand total of 4,818. That will be an increase of 334 calls for service, which would be a 7.5% increase over last year.
You contribute that to COVID?
A lot of it is contributed to COVID, yes.
Okay.
It is. But, you know, it is. It's been going all year long, you know, steady increase, but it's attributed to COVID, yes.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Out of ambulances report, December, we were out of ambulances 28 times, and we had 6 calls holding for service at different times. On over back further in your packet, I don't know what page it is, gentlemen, but I went through and looked at, I started that new report, the ambulance pending log, and there were only 4 calls. There were only 4 calls there that were holding that were during or past the time that our 5th truck got out of service. So all of those were times 5 units in service. I'm just keeping that to make sure that I know what's going on and provide it to y'all as well. But as you can see, it's a long list for the month of December. Our outstanding revenue and collections.
Looks like he's thinking.
Hey, while he's thinking, I'm having some connection issues. So if I were to drop off, Commissioner Leggett, would you carry forward for me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Scary proposition, Steve.
Yeah, I know. A man's got to do what a man's got to do.
You're out of order. You're out
I'm
of
back.
order.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
My internet dropped. All right. So outstanding revenue and collections report. For the month, we collected $140,115. Should our collections keep going in that direction, we're looking at 1.6 million or a little over. Our collections are exactly where I'd expect them as far as the delinquent. Our highest is at 26%, which is current, which drops down to 25% that are 180 days out. So all that's looking well.
So we're within our peers in the collection part, right? As far as percentages.
We are, most definitely.
Okay.
We are.
All right.
The next report is showing the 90 percentile on responses. There's nothing out of line there. It is all just as we'd expect to see. Our response times have increased some, not dramatically. And that is directly attributed to, I'm going to wander off into the weeds here for just a minute, but I did pull reports for the last couple of months on our out at hospital time. Our quickest by the week, this is average by the week, was during the first part of November. We were out of there in 39 minutes and 55 seconds. And during the month of, the week of the 29th through the first week of December, it rose to 54 minutes and 31 seconds. Now that's average, gentlemen. There was one call in that period on the week of the 29th that we had an ambulance out standing in the hallway at the emergency room at Baptist Memphis for 11 hours and 15 minutes.
Hmm.
But understand that, you know, this is nothing that the emergency room wants. This is nothing that the hospital wants. You know, I did make calls, but it's just, they're not discriminating. It's happening to every ambulance service. Memphis Fire Department, Bartlett, Germantown. It is just something that right now they cannot control. I will say it seems to have gotten better in the last week. So hopefully things are on the decline there.
Okay.
The next report is the budget report. If you look at the line item attendance, it is up somewhat. It's up 6% over what I wanted it to be. That is primarily, a lot of that is going to be for time that is lost that we'll paid out for both positions for people being out for COVID. With that being said, I will tell you, we have had 7 employees, COVID positive since this thing has started. So that is right at 25% of our employee base. So we've been hit pretty hard, but as soon as I say that, I'm going to tell you, we've been pretty fortunate because we transport these people pretty much every day. So it gets hectic. So they are protecting themselves. They are wearing their PPEs, but it does catch up with us at times.
Glenn, how many have been vaccinated?
Commissioner, I don't know each and every one of them, but the last count I had, I think, was 8. And that's who wanted it. Now, they're making their own decision as to who wants this and who does not want this. Okay. So the last number that I have in my head was 8. I will tell you this, a lot of them are coming forward now asking more questions and asking more questions and wanting to know more about it. So I expect that number to go up. So, but
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Leggett.
This goes to you and the mayor. Mayor, can we participate in the PPP program that the government is using?
You talking about the
where we can recoup salaries for people? I know we were able to do it in the trucking side. We were able to do it with our church, where the government, the stimulus package, this CARES package, paid us, and we had to use the money for salaries. And I mean, at our church, it amounted to $104,000. And we don't have that many ministers. And I'm wondering, do we qualify to where we could get that money? Because this ambulance service, even though it's provided by the county, fortunately, it's being run like a company. And we've got a good person running it. And I'm just wondering if we couldn't be part of that CARES Act.
No, they pretty much took us out of that portion, the government portion of it. But they did give us some grants and whatnot that we did apply for. In fact, now this is across all county, and a lot of Glenn's salaries, sheriff's salaries and whatnot, to the tune of a little over $600,000 we were able to get from the CARES Act. So we got that in general, and that's sort of their bone they threw to us.
Can we section that off, or is that going to be too much trouble to award a portion of that to Glenn, where he can document that his personnel that's affected by COVID, that it cost him, I'm just using a number, $125,000. Yeah. Could we take a portion of that money and give it to the ambulance service to offset that increase in personnel cost?
Here is probably what we need to do, is because this isn't over with yet. And I don't know what Glenn's numbers, hopefully he won't have anybody else, and sheriff's in the same boat. Toward the end of the year, probably May-ish time frame, particularly as we're going through budget, to bring y'all back a report, just how it's affected us. And we can show the money we brought in. If you want to move it to different line items, sort of give it back to that time, that's not a bad thing, but it'd be sort of like it's all going to be inside county government anyway. We're not going to get any more money. At least I'll take that back. I don't know what the government's going to do, but there's no more of the one that was at the end of December. That one's gone away. So, but I can report to you and sort of show you where the money should have gone.
Okay, I just think it would be a good opportunity because we hold, especially Glenn, we hold him so accountable for running his operation. And he does such a fantastic job of it. I would like to see him come to us and say, look, here's what COVID cost me in added revenue that I had to pay. And then perhaps we could do a resolution to supplement that much and put it back in his budget item so that the taxpayers, when they see it, won't say, well, the ambulances ran over budget by $125,000, you know, more than what they should have. And they think it's poor management. It wasn't poor management. It was circumstances. And I just like to see that as a consideration if it's possible.
We can definitely address that a little bit later once we get some more numbers or whatnot. And I don't think of any year, if we come anywhere near close to budget, which I think we'll most definitely do, I think it'll just show how it's being run in a year of a pandemic. So particularly with a service that we provide that's directly affected by it.
Well, Mr. Mayor, aren't we going to be doing budgets for the ambulance service pretty soon anyway?
We will be, yes, sir.
So that, that would probably be a good time to address that and also look at it when we do have the hard numbers in front of us. Don't you think so, Commissioner Leggett?
Yeah, I just happened to think about that, and I didn't know whether government was covered by that. If it is, we need to participate. If we're not covered by the PPP program, the Payroll Protection Act program, then it's a moot point. But
yeah, I haven't seen it in the PPP loan papers where government was included into it. So, does anybody have any other questions for Director Miller? Yes. Yes, Commissioner Goodrow.
With the municipal government that I work for, they are the practice that they've adopted is those employees, at least in my division, that come down with COVID or COVID-like symptoms, they're encouraging them to take off, obviously. Even if they think if they have a temperature, they want them to take off. And they, when they are put down for sick, there's a notation by it. And they are putting it down as a on-the-job injury, an exposure. And it's my understanding, and I speak with limited information, but it's my understanding that the purpose of that is to recoup the expenses.
Okay.
Otherwise, there's something about putting as an on-the-job injury.
Yes, you can get, the worker can get workers' comp on it if they can tie it back to, in Glenn's instance, if they're transporting somebody who has got a COVID, I mean, they think it is, and they make a file a report saying that we transported somebody down, and they note it, they put it in the file. If they come up with COVID, then the employee themselves is eligible for workers' comp, and they can use that if they wish to. In some instances, it makes sense to take workers' comp. Other times, financially, it doesn't. So that would be an issue that the employee could address.
I guess maybe it's because the municipality structured maybe a little different. The employee never skips a beat. They take their benefit time and sick time, and then I guess the expense that the municipality pays out for their time off.
Right.
I guess what they're doing is they end up recouping it.
It's a little bit different for us, and it's it's sort of complicated. Up until December, we were under obligation to guarantee 80 hours of your normal work time. So that generally translates into about 2 weeks. So if you got COVID and in any circumstances, you go home, we were supposed to cover it. Well, that ended at the end of January, at the end of December. And tonight in personnel, I've got something there to sort of fill that gap in so we can go forward. But
Okay.
that's how the employee was treated. Now, let's say that there are circumstances that in the previous law where if you personally had COVID and then you had to come back and treat a wife or a child or a mother or somebody else, there was another provision in there where you could get some pay, not full pay, but you could get some pay. Under those circumstances, it all depended on your sick time and whether you wanted to take it. So
FMLA.
yeah, FMLA, it's called something different, but it's FMLA / something.
Okay.
And that went away at the end of December. So
Okay.
To say this is a moving target and choices is an understatement. So yeah, but you're right. There's different cities are handled a little bit differently depending on their circumstances.
Okay, is there any other questions for Director Miller? Okay, Glenn, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Number 2 on the agenda, resolution proclaiming spring into clean day. Mayor, you want to take that?
Yes, sir. That's our annual one we've been doing for the last several years. It basically just encourages everyone. And last year we missed out on having the recycling day. We try to do all that pretty close at the same time. I'm not sure if the state's going to do that this year or not. Last year they cut it out, but if they do it again, we'll try to structure it just so that we can get everybody in the flow of cleaning up and doing those type of things.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved, Commissioner Seals.
All right.
Second, Goodrow.
All right, motion been properly made and seconded. Is there any more discussion? All right, roll call vote. Leggett,
Yes.
Goodrow,
Yes.
Seals,
Yes.
German,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, Mayor, let's do the other one. Number 3,
Number 3. one second.
in-service training correction.
Yes, sir. One second, please. Let me bring that up real quick. 36.
Looks like there's no change to the fund balance.
We're just moving money from one place to another so that they can actually do it. I think we were so asked by the auditors to start cleaning it up.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved, Leggett.
Or is there a second?
Second, Perkins.
Any discussion? All in favor, let me know. Well, roll call vote. Leggett,
Yes.
Goodrow,
Yes.
Seals,
Yes.
German,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Motion passes. And the next one on 4 would be the ambulance grant. That's just getting it placed in the budget so we can get it and spend it. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That's exactly it.
Okay.
I move
is
we
there-
approve.
Accept.
I'm sorry, I heard somebody. What now?
Leggett
I said-
moves to accept and approve.
Okay. Who's the second?
Commissioner Seals.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, let me know. Well, shoot. Roll call. I hate this roll call. Leggett,
Yes.
Goodrow,
Yes.
Seals,
Yes.
German,
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Okay, Mayor, where are we on the animal shelter? I know we need to talk about that.
We do. Packets didn't come in time for the meeting, so I'll have those for the Maine County Commission meeting. We were going through, got Mr. Rosser doing his due diligence, found there was a hiccup on the person's property we were trying to buy. There's a lien against it. He thinks it's cleaned up. Mr. Perkins, no, excuse me. Your name, you just popped up. That's the reason I mentioned it.
I didn't have anything to do with it.
Mr. Rosser is running that through title insurance to see what they need to make sure that we've done everything we need to. that should take a couple of days. And that's the only hang up. He's got everything else prepared to move forward with it. So that's the only thing.
So we should have something at the meeting.
Lord, I hope so. I mean, I've been,
Okay.
and Mr. Goodrich, Commissioner on here, I think I've been telling him for the last, seems like 6 months we've been trying to make this happen. So this is the only thing that I'm aware of that's holding it up at the moment.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have anything else?
I've got one other thing, and if you
Okay.
haven't been getting, this is on the health department vaccinations, and if you haven't been getting a phone call, you're lucky. Currently, we are in a stage where if you're over 75, if you're emergency medical personnel, if you're long-term care patient, if you're an adult who can't live independently, and if you're a teacher, you can get in line to get a vaccination. Currently, Fayette County does not have any vaccines that they are giving, and they don't know when any will be back in. Could show up tomorrow, could show up next week, they don't know. We have moved the vaccination location from the health department across the street to Fayette where they've got a lot more parking and road going through. I want to express my appreciation of the schools, Fayette County schools. They've been over backwards to help with it, and made this really easy. We can now accommodate several hundred cars without actually getting on the road, and that had been a problem. Right now, the line is pretty long. The call volume at the health department is pretty large. So if you're calling out there, in all likelihood, you probably will not get through the first time. If you do get through, hang on to it, get you an answer, because you are one of the lucky ones. They're supposed to be setting up a call center out of Jackson, I believe. It'll be a 731 area code number that they will direct folks to make appointments. And at some point in time, right now we're at 75 and older. When they have decided that enough 75 and older have been vaccinated, or at least the ones who want it, they'll drop that to 65 and older, and they'll drop the age requirements down a little at a time until they can get, most everybody in line.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, one quick question. You don't have to elaborate much on that.
Okay.
The demographics, how many people over 75 and then 65 to 75? I mean, do you have any idea how many are in that age group?
I don't.
Okay.
All I've got is census data. I'm not sure what the health department's looking at. Tell you the truth, I don't know how they're going to be able to tell when they finished with the 75 and older, but they've got some metric they're using.
Okay.
It's only Fayette County residents, is that right? Or is anybody?
Yes, sir. It's only supposed to be Fayette County residents in Fayette County. Now, I will say this, is that if you show up out there and you say you live in Fayette County, they're probably going to give it to you. They're not doing a lot of checks on that, because they want to make sure you're a Tennessee resident. They can basically look at your tags on the car or driver's license or something. But and it's like the rest of it. If you say you're in that category, the folks out there are so overwhelmed, they'll probably run you on through. But you're supposed to be a Fayette County resident in the appropriate category.
You don't have to show ID?
Don't have to show ID. I think you have to have ID just to make sure that you are who you say you are, so they can make sure that for their health records, but that's about the extent of it.
Okay.
Got mine in Shelby County as a first responder, and I had to show ID, my driver's license.
And
Okay.
Commissioner, I tell you the truth, there's municipalities, I think, but the larger ones, the Memphis, the Nashvilles, whatnot, they've apparently figured this out a lot better than the other 80-something counties. The state of Tennessee's health department, they're trying to do their best, but they've got a long ways to go to make it run smooth.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
All right.
just for information, in Shelby County, first responders went to one location, and we were given our shots by fire department paramedics, Shelby County Fire Department paramedics. They had a drive-through line for people with appointments, and then that fire department had a separate location where they were doing firefighters. So, and they could move a lot of people through there that way.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have anything else? Mayor, do you have anything else?
That's all I've got for you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Somebody needs a motion.
Motion to adjourn, Perkins.
All right, guys.
So moved.
Y'all have a good night.
All right.